good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to the Bloody Disgusting Network. The following show is just horrifying. Beware.
Sheriff, you're not cheating on your wife if you eat my lemon square.
Your lemon squares taste like ass.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking an unconventional haunted house story. We're talking Red Lanterns in the Hollywood Hills. And we're talking the best fucking movie of 2015. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are talking a masterclass in grueling, unbearable tension.
Oh my god. This movie, even when you know exactly what's going to happen, I'm on pins and needles. I'm white-knuckling the couch the entire fucking time.
Oh, absolutely same. And I have thoughts to say because, when I first saw this, I had people that were like, well, I could predict the ending coming a mile away. I was like, that's not the point.
It's slow clap for you. Good job. I don't think that the movie is trying to hide what's going to happen. It's when is it going to happen, not if.
Very much. It's very much similar to last year's Midnight Mass, where it's like, yes, I get it. You know it's going to end poorly for a lot of people. It's not about that.
No.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, everyone. We are discussing Karyn Kusama's masterful 5-star film, The Invitation, today. For our, Joe, what is this?
My god, it's our 200th episode.
Ah!
It's funny because every year, we hit another 50 because we produce one of these fucking podcasts every goddamn week. It's a joy, folks, but it's also like, whoo, 52 episodes a year. And it's fun because, last year we hit 150 and it was like, yay, let's celebrate. And then this year it was like, oh, wow, it's 200 episodes. Okay.
Wait, so are you saying that 250 is going to be okay, yay?
No, I will admit, even when we hit 25s, I'm like, ooh, it's a bit of a big deal, but I try not to make a bit of a big deal of it on the air.
That's fine. I get it. The 15s aren't as milestoney as the 25s, so I get it.
Yes.
But okay, so and also, everyone, in case you didn't know, well, actually, I'm sorry. If you have not seen this film, I really wouldn't recommend listening to this episode. I know a lot of people do because you're like, oh, horror, I can't watch it. I want to hear what they say about it. I would not recommend that for this because I would love to recapture my first time viewing of this film if I could. I can't because I've already seen it 10 times, but there's nothing like the first time viewing of this film.
No. And what's interesting is that this is unequivocally one of those films where people will say, it's a bit more of a thriller than a horror film because it's really all about, it's not even a metaphor. It's not subtext. This is a movie about grief.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, there's an unreliable narrator in Will, our main guy played by Logan Marshall Green. And I've seen people say, oh, well, it's just not that scary because there's no monsters, there's no ghosts, there's no vampires and stuff. And I'm just like, no, this is the human condition wrapped up in one movie. And, yeah, sure, it's a movie about a cult, but that dismisses the power of what this movie is doing. And I honestly attribute everything to the script and to Kusama's direction.
Oh, and let's not lie here. This is Kusama's first feature-length film after Jennifer's Body, flopped 6 years prior. It is a film that she directed by a script that's co-written by her partner, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's like, I'm going back to our episode we did last year on It Follows, where my husband Ari was like, this film really perfectly captures anxiety. And I feel very similarly about this. This film is anxiety, but also paranoia.
Yes.
And while, yes, you can have your quibble about, well, any sane person would have gotten out of there, I call bullshit on all of that. And we'll talk about it when we talk about the plot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The minute that they set foot inside the house, they were never getting out unless they were stepping over dead bodies.
Well, but it also goes down to just human kindness, right? You wouldn't just leave. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're Claire, you would leave, but
I mean, yeah, I've got a funny anecdote because I watched this with Brian, who had never seen it before, and he was very unhappy with me because it was so effective. Like,
yes,
he spent the entire movie so incredibly uncomfortable, but not just because of what was happening on screen, because he hates like cringe comedy and awkward situations. Like, he dies inside having to watch them. So this movie was like the masterclass version of that, where he just said, oh my God, every time Will makes a fuss or somebody gets upset, it was driving him over the edge. And I'm like, yes, that's part of why this movie's so good.
I'm actually, good for you, good for Brian. So I showed this to my family. So it was my mom, my dad, my sister, and my racist grandmother. And
I love that qualifier, by the way.
The movie is a white man with a black woman, and she was very put off by
that.
No,
not in this day and age. Jesus Christ.
She was like, Are they a couple? And I was like, yes, Grandma.
No, Grandma, she's the maid, and it's the 1920s. What the fuck? Grandma.
Anyway, so I would call this, I hate saying the word slow burn, because I think slow burn implies that that you might be bored watching this, where up until a certain point. And with my family, that's kind of how I treat it. I was like, oh, they might find this boring, and like maybe the payoff's not worth the wait. They were like totally enveloped by this movie. And my sister, who's not a huge horror fan, but like she'll watch some stuff, you know, she likes a lot of the more like fun horror, but not the really scary horror.
Oh, okay.
Non-stop talking at the screen.
Ooh, she was getting outing, huh?
In a good way, but oh my God, yeah. Like it was, and they kept being, she was like, Trace, what's going on? And I was like, just watch.
Oh, I love that. I love that, where people are like, no, I need you to reduce my anxiety by reassuring me that things are going to be okay. And you're like, I can't do that. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's the same thing when I'm like watching a movie and it's like, oh, do you know who the killer is? Do you know who the killer is? Do you know who the killer is? But okay. Joe, this didn't get a huge theatrical release, and we'll go through the reception and release. You know, it got 20 screens, by the way.
Oh.
When did you first see this? Did you get to see this at a festival?
So I did. I got to see this at Fantasia. So I saw it with a packed audience on the big screen. And let me tell you, this was the equivalent of a Don't Breathe audience. And folks, you can go back and listen to our audio commentary on that film on the Patreon. But in short, you could feel the rising temperature. Like, we were all collectively so anxious and sweaty at what was happening that the actual temperature in the theater was getting hotter.
Yeah. I caught this at Fantastic Fest. It was funny. This is actually my very, very, very first film festival.
Ooh.
I know.
Setting the bar very high.
Yeah. I have been writing, for Bloody for a little less than a year, probably. And it was one of those things where a PR firm reached out to me and was like, are you going to come to Fantastic Fest? And I was like, I don't have the money for that. And they were like, oh, you can just go in for free because you're pressed. And I was like,
right.
What?
News to me. And then, of course, folks, you do actually have to do the work and write up a bunch of reviews. You don't just get to go for free.
That sounded really entitled and like privilege. Yes, no, you actually do have to work and do things to prove that you deserve the free press badge.
Anyway, continue.
But it had premiered at South by Southwest in Austin earlier that year. I think that was the world premiere. And I hadn't really heard much about it, but it did get a really good reception. And my husband was like, out of all the movies we see at this festival, we have to see The Invitation. So I was like, okay, sure.
Interesting. Why was this on Ari's radar? Was it just because of the reception from South by Southwest?
I think it was that combined with Kusama.
Okay.
I think we both like Jennifer's Body, as most people do now. But back then it wasn't as popular.
Nope.
And it was just a thing, but where I think the reception, was like, this movie is so incredibly tense and effective and just blah. And I knew nothing about it. All I knew was that it was Karyn Kusama.
Right.
And man, did this play gangbusters with a full theater full of people.
Yeah. I mean, I'll confess, it played really well with just me and Brian on the couch in our big empty apartment. And yet, I will say, watching this on the big screen with an audience and just getting to feel the vibes. Like, people, you could tell the hair on their arms was standing up. They were getting uncomfortable. They were getting anxious. Like, people were shifting in their seats the entire movie. And I was like, oh, this movie is doing exactly what it wants to do. It had the audience fully enraptured.
Well, and what's so funny, and I'm going to wait to throw this out at you until we get to the part in the plot, but there is something that they cut out of this movie that had they left it in would have drastically altered the film, deflated all tension, and ruined the ending.
Oh my God. Okay, lob that grenade and then don't pull the pin.
But no, it's funny though, because we almost like, it's almost a bit of a miracle we got this movie, right? Because, Karyn Kusama broke out in 2000 with Girl Fight, follows it up 5 years later with Aeon Flux, which had a lot of it. I saw that in theaters on one of my very first gay dates, by the way. It's fine, but I think it had a lot of production problems. Like the head of Paramount left during production, all this shit.
Oh, you could tell. Like, that was not the movie that she intended to make.
Absolutely. But I think that's where she met her husband, because he also co-wrote that movie with the same guy who co-wrote this. They followed up with Jennifer's Body, and, that's another flop. So, given that Karyn Kusama is a female director of color, I'm surprised she wasn't, put in permanent director's jail, given how racist and sexist Hollywood is.
I mean, I agree, because we have a terrible fucking track record of treating female directors, and particularly female directors of color, in such a way. But when I look at her filmography, I think, oh, well, didn't we kind of? Because look at the spacing between these movies. Like, we're talking half decades at a time before she gets to make another one.
That's the thing. Girl Fight 2000, Aeon Flux 2005, Jennifer's Body 2009, and then she's really off the grid until this movie in 2015. But she's done a lot of
6
TV.
years. Yeah, she does do a lot of TV. And of course, if folks don't know, she did direct the pilot for Yellow Jackets and also a fucking masterclass.
Well, what she also has coming up, she's directing episode 6 of Amazon's Dead Ringers TV show.
Oh my God, Trace. Why would you... I need a moment. I have the vapors.
Everyone, please go listen to our episode on Dead Ringers. One of our very, very, very first episodes, by the way, from year 1. But she's also going to be directing the pilot of the Sexy Beast TV show.
Ooh, that's also a good fit, because she does sexy well.
Yeah, well, in this, maybe not in this movie per se, but...
I don't know. I find a lot of the people in this movie incredibly sexual and horny, but it's uncomfortable sexy horny.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned your husband said, it's that cringe. It's like, yeah, this really is, it's not cringe comedy, but it's the equivalent in, the horror thriller universe. So, okay. Well, honestly, let's jump into this. I don't have a ton of production because, this is a newer, smaller film with it's a one-setting film, right? Half the movie takes place in the goddamn living room.
I don't mind it, though.
No, not at all. So yeah, this is something I did not know. So this movie was in development as early as 2012, and it was announced that the cast was comprised of Luke Wilson, Zachary Quinto, Topher Grace, and Johnny Galecki.
Okay, I could see the first two and not so much the latter two.
Yeah, Johnny Galecki would have been in the middle of Big Bang Theory stardom, so I wonder if maybe that was maybe he was a get back then?
I think so, yeah. I just don't think he's a good fit for this particular movie, but I could see him playing the Ben role, the kind of comedic relief, says the inappropriate thing and then gets slapped in the face.
Ooh, actually, wait, cast this. Okay, Zachary Quinto is probably David, right?
It's a question of, do we put the gay guy in the gay role?
Oh, fuck.
Is he Tommy?
I'm just thinking, but he's so menacing looking. Luke Wilson. I'm gonna say Luke Wilson is Will.
Yes,
but maybe Quinto and Topher Grace were gonna be the gay couple.
I could see it.
I don't know. Anyway, well, I don't know why that didn't happen. But they obviously are not in this movie.
No.
So yes, in July of 2014, so about 2 years later, it's revealed that production of the film had concluded.
Just bam, we made a movie.
We did it. And of course, it was the movie that we saw. Kusama revealed that she was influenced by the slow reveal of Let the Right One In and the unraveling family reunion of a foreign film called Festin. She cited the film's theme as a metaphor for what the nightmare of anxiety really is, which is this irrational sense that people are trying to hurt you somehow. And of course, everyone else around you is telling you no. I did find a good tidbit from the commentary on the Blu-ray for this. The score. So I know you're not a score person, Joe, but do you find that the violins really aid the tension of this film?
I do, and I will confess, I took note of them here because I think, A, when they come in, they're quite strong, so they are a presence in the movie, but there's also long periods where there is no score at all, so you're keenly aware of the kind of silence when it's just dialogue, and then when that score kicks in, it's, hello, violence!
That's really interesting, too, because so the guy that did the score for this, his name is it's Theodore Shapiro, Teddy Shapiro, and he also did the score for Jennifer's Body. But here's the thing.
Oh.
Jennifer's Body is a movie that has more of a soundtrack than a score.
Yes.
But there is one piece of score on the soundtrack, and I fucking love it. It's when she's running to the pool house to go save Chip.
Yes.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that about this, because, yeah, this movie doesn't have a ton of score. And the guy, Shapiro, didn't even recorded himself. So what they did was they found a really good violinist and had him play a bunch of different melodies, different things, whatever. Shapiro took all the things that this guy did and then used that to make the violin score, put all the different pieces together.
Oh, wow. Okay, so somebody else did it and then he composed what that person gave him.
Yeah, or compiled, I guess, because
right.
I feel like compose would insinuate that you wrote the music first.
Right,
and then someone
yeah.
played it.
Sorry, semantically bad use of words. I agree with your term. Compiled it, overlaid all of the different versions.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think it's interesting. And Karyn Kusama is someone who's used plenty of the same crew across all of her films. I mean, the editor, the composer, the writers, obviously. So it's very much a family affair.
Which is so funny to me because when I look at Kusama's career, I feel like she refuses to be pigeonholed. She doesn't make the same kinds of movies. Mm-hmm. So I'm fascinated by the fact that she does use the same crew.
Yeah, and I don't know if she does that for TV as well. I have to go look at all these things. But there's not much about the casting of this. I don't really have a lot of fun stories, except for Toby Huss, who plays Dr. Jacob, the cult leader.
Mm-hmm.
She worked with him on *Halt and Catch Fire* because she directed 4 episodes of that show.
P.S. That show is fucking great. If people have not been watching that, you need to.
I think you've been pushing that ever since we covered, *Always Shine*, because Mackenzie Davis was in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's in that. He's in that. Lee Pace is in that.
Yes.
So if people are having their Lee Pace renaissance because of Bodies, get on that shit. It's really good. It's the equivalent of a Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. It's that level of drama.
Well, there you go. Well, she saw him, she worked with him, and she was like, there's something about you. I want you to be my cult leader. So yeah, the film has its world premiere at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas on March 13th, 2015. Shortly after it was announced that Drafthouse Films, that is of course Alamo Drafthouse, had acquired distribution rights to the film. If you're looking that up, they are now defunct. They do not distribute films anymore.
Yeah, I thought it was weird because I have the physical blue of this and it firmly says Drafthouse, and I thought, wow, I don't know that I've ever seen another film that Drafthouse has released on physical.
They've done a few. So they always have these Drafthouse Recommends titles every month. So it's what's the indie film that they're going to really push? Right now it's Triangle of Sadness. That's their next film.
Oh, Will co-sign. That's an interesting and good one.
Yeah, but they're not distributing it. Whereas back then when they had these, they were recommending it while also distributing it.
Right. So it was in their best interest to recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. But it was really fun though, because you'd walk in and in the lobby there would be a vending machine, but instead of candy, it was a vending machine of Blu-rays of all their films.
Ah, love that.
So that's how I got this movie.
Yoink.
But yeah, so the film goes on to screen at Fantastic Fest in September of that year, clearly Fantasia Fest as well, London Fright Fest in October. It didn't get a theatrical release until April 8th, 2016. So, it's a little over a year after it had its world premiere. We get a limited release and through VOD. I didn't know if it was day and date because it seemed a little early for that, but it might have been.
Yeah, I feel like we weren't doing that just yet.
I know. A pandemic really pushed that over the edge, right?
Uh-huh.
But that limited release is, it opened in 10 theaters opening weekend, and it eventually expanded to 20 its second week and 29 its third week before bloop, 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 dropping off the edge.
Jesus Christ. That just makes me really sad, honestly.
It's just, look, I get it. I'm sure Drafthouse it's an early distributor, which actually, it may have even been more than that because I bet you they played it in all of their screens, but I wonder if that wasn't in the You know what? Whatever. I don't
know. Who can say? We don't know.
We are looking at an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average score of 7.6 out of 10.
Too low. Too low, people. Come on.
Way too low. Way too... Oh, well, wait to get mad, Joe. So on Metacritic, we have a 74 out of 100. Okay. Letterboxd users, normally a really reliable bunch, a 6.6 out of 10.
What the fuck? This is minimum 90. Like, this is a 9 out of 10 at the very minimum. If I don't even know what to say to you if you don't like this movie. We cannot be friends.
So, Joe, I've said I'm a 5-star film on this. Is this a 5-star film for you as well?
Oh, this is a firm 5-star film. Like, I watched this movie and I cannot fault it.
Y'all, I can count on one hand the number of times this has happened.
Yeah, we are not always in agreement.
Yeah, but even if we are, like, we're never like, oh yeah, this is definitely a 5-star film.
Yeah, we're often in agreement. Like, this is a 3.5. This is a 3. Never 5s.
No, never. But yeah, I mean that's really it. That's all the fun and games of this movie and how it got made.
Okay, yeah. So I guess it made jack shit from those 29 theaters, right?
Oh. So, honestly, yeah, with those little theaters, it only went on to gross $231,000 domestically and $123,000 internationally for a worldwide gross of just over $350,000, which sucks. It had a budget of $1 million, but again, it's a thing where I'm like, well, that is technically a flop, but given the unique distribution model, I don't...
How could you expect otherwise?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe it was profitable for them on VOD. Maybe that was it.
Also, I recognize we made jokes that the entire movie takes place in this one house, so yeah, it's not going to cost more than $1 million. But this fucking movie cost $1 million? It looks so good.
So is your house porn ticker going off?
Oh, Jesus Christ, yes. I mean, this was before I even identified that I had a problem. I was watching this in the theater like, how do I live there? Is that what houses in Los Angeles look like?
Okay, but Joe, the money you would have to afford this house.
The taxes and property rights alone would sink you.
It's the Hollywood Hills, baby. I mean, look, you can see... I mean, look, at the end of the movie, you can see all the lanterns from all the other houses in the hills. It's like, that's a good view. You're paying millions of dollars for this space.
But also, after the events of this movie, real estate would be really cheap because there would be so many vacancies.
Because everyone's dead.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I love, too, in this movie, Eden, played by Tammy Blanchard, she's like, oh, yeah, I mean, I lived here alone for a while. And I was like, how?
No, you did not. What was your profession?
Oh, right. I have so many questions. But you know what? It's not important.
I just default that they're all rich.
That honestly, for anyone in LA, that is not a freelance journalist, to be honest. You just have to assume that.
It's interesting, actually. In the reviews that I've seen of this, I mean, obviously, critics are very much in favor of the film, but I have seen a surprising number of people who comment on this as a bit of a critique or almost a treatise of this movie only works because it's set in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really... I don't know, having had our spats with some folks who do live in Los Angeles, sometimes people take umbrance with calling people coastal elites or saying that they have a certain kind of mindset or that sort of thing. I find it interesting that people would be so blatant in referencing that with regard to this film. Like, it very obviously is set in Los Angeles, and yet I don't know that these people scream, LA socialite to me.
Okay, see, I did see a lot of that, and they actually, Kusama talked about this at the screening I was at. It's less so about their wealth and their class, and more so that people in LA are just a little bit weird.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess, so again, like, we have people that live in like suburbia, and they're like, okay, what the fuck are you still doing in this house? Like, clearly something is off. This is weird. It's that moment when Tommy is telling Will, like, oh, like he's offering all these explanations for why like things might be the way they are. And it's because, for apparently LA people, like, this is just normal. Like, because you have this giant melting pot of people, all of whom, I mean, look, you got Scientology, you got Kabbalah, plus God knows what the fuck religions that are there.
Right.
And so it's more so that. But, I mean, look, we can talk about class all you want in this, because, yes, these people are all clearly very well off.
Yeah. Don't see a lot of poor people getting offed in this movie. All right. Well, shall we dig into the events of The Invitation?
Let's go.
Oh, and just in case people have not figured it out at this point, we are not talking about the vampire film that came out in 2022.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. I mean, we put the year on the episode title for a reason.
Yeah, debated covering that other one, but definitely not for episode 200.
Oh, but P.S., though, really fucked up, because remember, Karyn Kusama was going to do a Dracula movie, and then we get a Dracula movie that is called The Invitation.
Honestly, it feels like a fuck you, and I don't care for it.
I agree. Oh, it sucks. And now, also, when people go look up The Invitation, they're going to pull that one up first.
It 100% happened to me. I was trying to find the cast list for this, and the 2022 one comes up first. And I'm like, can we shove the not great one down and promote the good one up a little more?
I think, I could be wrong. I'm saying this with no knowledge whatsoever. I'm wondering if they go by search and click history. So like right now, because the new one just came out, it's getting a lot more searches and clicks.
100%, yes.
Okay, cool.
That's how the algorithm does it, baby.
IMDb, hire me.
Ew, why?
I'll make it better.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right. So a fade in on a distracted Will, who is played by, speaking of vapors, Logan Marshall Green, looking great despite the longish hair.
I think he's very attractive. He is, like him and Tom Hardy need to be in like the remake of Twins, basically. Yeah, not my favorite look for him. I don't like the long hair, but you know what?
Of course.
He's great in this movie.
Oh, he's so good. He's so understated, right? Like, he is the linchpin to all of this madness, and it only works because we don't trust him entirely, but also everything has to be focalized through him.
Well, and so here's the thing, right? So I've been on record as saying I am so over movies. Like, I don't mind an unreliable protagonist. Like, that I get. But I'm so over is he crazy? Is he not crazy? Is he crazy? Is he not crazy? And I think this movie toes that line very, very well. Like, I never for once think that he is losing his mind. He's hallucinating. He is certifiably insane. But do I doubt him sometimes? Well, not now, but my first movie.
Yeah, it was fascinating because I remember vividly having that experience the first time I watched this, and I was keeping track of Brian's reactions. And the moment where Will comes back for the toast and he just starts knocking people's glasses over, Brian audibly groaned because he was like, oh man, no, he's overreacting. He needs to stop.
Yes.
Like, he's just gone too far. And I was like, oh, this movie knows how to read the audience so well.
I mean, this is... I'm sorry. I know we were just gushing over this movie, but...
No, I refuse to apologize. 5-star movie, people.
I have seen this movie, again, like I said, at least 10 times. Sometimes watching it by myself just because. And it's like every moment of this film is calculated in the best way.
Yeah, and yet it's funny because even before we started recording, I told you I've got so much plot, and yet I almost feel like none of it really matters. Like, so much of this movie is about how you feel, how Kusama is she's manipulating us this entire movie through the camera work, through the editing, through the score. I mean, I'm attributing a lot to her, but, even when you watch the not great special feature about the making of The Invitation, it's everyone just gushing about how in control and masterful she is. Like, she has a hone on this craft and she is steering the ship and it is flawless.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Okay, so we're one line into this plot description, so...
Coyote.
Yeah, so Will is driving with his girlfriend Kira, who is played by Emiyatsu Kurinaldi, and they are driving to a dinner party, which is being hosted by his ex, Eden, who is played by Tammy Blanchard, as well as her new husband, David, who is played by Michiel Huisman. And I had to look up how to pronounce that because he's Dutch.
Everyone, you may recognize him from Game of Thrones or The Haunting of Hill House, but Tammy Blanchard is maybe not as much of a household name for people.
What do you know her from? Because I spent the entire movie thinking that she was somebody else, but it's the plump lips that I find are very evocative.
Very much so. So the funny thing is, she's done a lot of movies and TV, but the thing that I really know her from is one of her very first roles when she was I want to say in her very early 20s. So she's an Emmy winner for a Judy Garland TV movie from the early 2000s called Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows.
Oh shit, that's her.
Yeah, so it was Judy Davis played older Judy Garland, but Tammy Blanchard was the teen Judy Garland.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I definitely knew the Judy Davis of it all.
Yes. Well, Tammy Blanchard, she also won the Emmy for it, so...
Shit, did not realize that. I think Eden, like Will, only works because you don't entirely trust them, but her performance in this movie is so ethereal. Like, this was one of the first times where I really, really, really took notice of how important costuming is.
Yes.
Because her flowing white gown is meant to represent, like, innocence and purity, but then it also ends up getting covered in blood as, you know, her nefarious-ish plan gets revealed. But it's very much trying to code the way that you read this character. Like, it's a very deliberate and calculated costume decision.
100% agree. And talking about you and score, you know, I'm not a costume pay attentioner.
Mm-hmm.
But that dress absolutely sticks out. Like, absolutely. Like, the way, I mean, the whole time I was like, how is it not wrinkled?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so theatrical too, right? Like, it reads old Hollywood, it reads glamour, but it also kind of looks like a lounging kind of, like, if she was just here for the day and she was going to have a cocktail at 2, she might throw this on with some sparkly jewelry to feel pretty.
Yes.
And Eden is so performative in a certain way, right? Like, she really wants to make people feel a certain way because she's trying to get them on board with this philosophy. And it's not working in part, I think, because she looks completely different from everyone else at this dinner party.
No, yeah, I'm glad that you said old Hollywood glamour because that is absolutely what she gives off.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. I like/love every single character in this film. I find that all of them are so inherently interesting and fast. Even the ones, I mean, like the ones that get like not that much. Even, well, maybe Choi isn't the most interesting because he doesn't really have much to do.
This is true. He doesn't show up until like super late. And yet even by then, we feel like we know who Choi is.
Yes.
Oh, he's always late.
No, he's the most unreliable Korean in Los Angeles. but that
So
being
rude.
said, Eden, to me, is the most fascinating character in this film. I mean, I'll say this right now, because this is what Karyn Kusama says, because here's the thing. That you could view the cultists, sorry everyone, we're spoiling this now, they are a cult, as villains in this film.
I don't.
And neither does Kusama. So she says, you know, many of these characters are people that we could know. Some of them travel in circles we could belong to. There are no real movie villains here in my mind. Only some incredibly damaged, messed up people who do extremely destructive things in moments of intense vulnerability and in the name of apocalyptic faith. If there is a villain in this movie, it's the cultural resistance to incorporating grief and conflict in our lives in a real and present way. It's the rage that can accompany our bafflement at the world and its unpredictable nature.
Yeah, I love how eloquent Kusama is about the impact of this movie and what it's really trying to explore. Like, this is about us being unwilling to accept that people grieve in different ways. Like, so much of this movie is about Will feeling like Eden doesn't share his grief because she has tried to find a way to move on.
Yes, and here's the thing, like, what makes them villains is they are killing people without their knowledge.
Yeah, yes, without their consent.
but at the same time, though, and I'm not trying to, I'm not defending them, but it's a thing where they're like, but nothing, because they have been brainwashed. They believe nothing matters in this life. All that matters is that we will all be together in the next one. So they think they're doing everyone a courtesy.
Yes.
Even though it's there's no consent involved.
Yeah, and when you look at the nature of cults, that is how they often end up getting people to die by suicide or to commit heinous things, right? It's all about the next life. But the people who are committing these atrocities so firmly believe that what they are doing is a kindness to other people.
Yeah.
I'm sending you to a different place where all of this pain, all of this sadness is just going to be gone and you're going to be so much happier. Why would you think that that's a bad thing? I just have to kill you to do it.
And that's why, though, I mean, like, I know we mentioned, like, you know, classifying this as a horror film, but that to me is scary.
Yeah.
Like, that, I get it. Like, there aren't like traditional scares in this movie until we get to like the last 20 minutes. But the idea of these people, like, is horrifying to me. That someone could be so wrapped up in grief and want to avoid their grief that they are like they buy into this shit.
Yeah. For me, the most disarming and uncomfortable moment in this entire film, which is filled with disarming and uncomfortable moments, is when Pruitt is attacking Will in the back half of the film, like in the last act even. And he's saying all of these nice words. Like, I'm sorry, this is going to be okay.
Yes.
You're going to be better. And the juxtaposition of that kindness with the violence is so, it doesn't make sense to me, right? Like my brain misfires because how can someone who's so gentle and peaceful also be trying to murder another person? And I love the interplay of what this movie is doing, even though on the surface, it's really easy to pull back and say, it's just a movie about grief and like a cult who tries to kill people.
Well, thanks to the writing and the performances, I understand every single one of these characters' motives. With the exception of maybe Sadie, played by Lindsay Burge, because we don't know why she's there, but she's also like your cuckoo bananas.
She's cuckoo
like,
bananas.
Yeah.
Honestly, know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of the hitchhiker in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, most specifically the remake.
You mean Lauren German from Hostel 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I love her in this movie, by the way. I think she's fantastic. But
oh, yes.
And I will have plenty to say about John Carroll Lynch, because that monologue is an actor's wet dream.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, I have big thoughts about him too. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
So, yes, we're on the road. I love the way that exposition is folded into this movie. So we're just driving and we quickly understand that David and Eden met in a Greek group. So we know that something bad has happened. We also know that David and Eden used to be married and no longer are and haven't seen each other in a while. And this is all like, it just flows so seamlessly. It doesn't feel like, ooh, we need to let the audience know. This is just conversation as we're driving. And then, yes, we hit this coyote and Will has to kill it with a tire iron.
So, two things. Apparently, the exposition before we hit the coyote, that originally was twice as long as it was in the final cut. So, they wanted to cut out to make it seem more natural. And again, like not like spoon feed the audience all this information. Because again, like we're working with a slower narrative, so we are given tidbits as the film goes on.
Mm-hmm.
The coyote... So I feel like since I've seen this movie, I have seen so many movies where people hit something on the way. Actually,
oh, for sure.
Last month on the Patreon, we have Sissy, where they hit kangaroo.
Kangaroo. It's a good way to show that characters who are not normally violent can be pushed into violence in the right circumstances.
Well, and it also is thematically relevant because we are putting something out of its misery.
Oh, it's fantastic, and yet I can easily see how people would say, why do we need to have that in here? Why can't we just get to the house faster?
Oh, no. It is vital to the thematic levels of this film.
100%. And this is, to me, I think Kusama is really showy in certain parts of this movie, and in other parts you almost forget that anyone is directing this movie because like she's doing it so flawlessly. I love the choice to shoot this scene from the back seat of the car so that we can see Kira and then we see Will through the traffic headlights in the dim, but we also don't actually have to see this coyote get murdered. We just know exactly what's happening, but the framing of it is like, ooh, it's chef's kiss.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we get the credits. They're driving up through the Hollywood Hills. It's gorgeous and isolated and kind of dark, so we're really setting a mood. And then we arrive at this absolutely gorgeous palatial house, and we start getting flashbacks. So Will starts to see images of a boy named Ty, and he is played by Aidan Lovecamp. And I'm going to make one reference only throughout this episode, and it's a piece that I skimmed that is gently informing some of my own reading. So it's a piece called The Ghosts of Grief, an exploration of Gothic influence in 2010's horror cinema by Halen Gifford. And one of the things that Gifford says is that Ty's name is significant because obviously it is that he is connected, not just through these visual flashbacks, but his literal name, Ty. He's tied to the house.
Look at that. And so, again, I know I've seen this a lot. We don't know how this kid died. We just know he died at a birthday party, right?
So we do find out, but you have to infer it because we never see it. But there's mention of another child and a bat. So the inference is that he was struck in the head by a child with a bat accidentally. Like they were playing around and he basically got beamed and then he died.
Where are that kid's parents?
Apparently all at the party, because all of these adults who are at this dinner party in this movie were present on the day of, which I think is part of the reason why Eden invites them.
Right. But what I'm saying is, though, are the parents of that kid at this party? I don't think so.
No. I mean, I think this is our close-knit group of friends, but yeah, the insinuation to me is we all had a part to play in that day, and it's because none of us were paying attention. Like, in a way, this is Friday the 13th, only the adult version.
See, that's interesting, though, because I read this as the reason all these people are here is because these are the ones that Eden wants with them to be with her in the afterlife. She doesn't want the parents of the fucking child murderer.
Yeah, you know what? I think that also tracks. I think that perfectly fits in because these are Eden's closest friends, right? This is the friend group that she and Will had, and then there's like the hangers-on from the cult that she's picked up along the way.
Which I think, though, those are more David's people because...
Oh, 100%.
There are times when Eden gives Sadie a look where it's like, I don't think she likes her very much.
No, I think she likes Pruitt.
Yeah.
But I don't always know that she likes Sadie.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because like I don't need to know what Sadie did to get into this cult, like what her grief is, but I do want to know.
Oh, she is cuckoo.
I think she killed someone. She had to have killed someone.
I think so too. Yeah. She and Pruitt feel like they share that in common.
But again, who's the scarier one? It's Pruitt.
It's Pruitt because he's just inherently more scary because you don't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we go into the house. We're introduced to this group. So we have the gays, who are Miguel, played by Jordi Velasuso, and Tommy, who is played by Mike Doyle. We have adventurous Gina, who is played by Michelle Krusiak, and she's waiting for her boyfriend Troy, who will show up much later in the movie.
Oh, can you guess who my favorite character is?
Oh, the girl who asked for coke? Yeah, okay, wait, I guessed it pretty early.
It's not because she asked for cocaine. But she's the fun one.
She's the one who's fun. She's the one who's trying to smooth over the awkwardness. And also, she just seems like she's the life of the party.
She absolutely is. I want to... I mean, granted, no, she's that person, but I don't think she would get tired after like 2 hours with her.
Right. Like, she's not overbearing or annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we also have repressed Claire, who is played by Marie Delfino. And I always spend the entire time that Claire's on screen feeling bad for her because she just looks so uncomfortable with all of this. Like, I don't even know how she's friends with the rest of the people. They clearly like and respect her, and yet at the same time you just think, oh, well, if there's an odd person out, it's Claire.
Yes, and I spend the entire time too because I'm like, she looks so familiar. What do I know her from? And it's not really anything, but so IMDb trivia. Not a lot here, but here's our fun fact of the day. This is the second time in which the fate of a character played by Mariah Delfino is left unknown. Can you guess what the other film is, unless you already saw this, Joe?
I do not.
The other film is Jeepers Creepers 2.
What?
She's one of the cheerleaders in the school bus. Her character is thrown out of a moving truck in an attempt to save her life from a deliberate crash meant to kill the creeper, but she is never seen again in the film.
Weird. So basically, this actress should not get in cars, is what we're saying.
Basically. I think, though, that was probably a mistake on that idiot director's fault, whereas this is very intentional exclusion.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then our final character is Jokester Ben, who is played by Jay Larson. So immediately we show up and we're starting to try to piece together how did these characters know each other? What is their relationships? And we're getting a lot of intimate close-ups, particularly on Eden and Will. So she's wiping parts of the coyote off of his face, but it's so familiar and intimate, dare I say. It looks like these two could kiss at any moment.
This whole sequence should be overwhelming to the audience. Like, if you're describing, we're going to have a dinner party with, 10 people, and we're going to meet all of them at once.
Yes.
The way that this is doled out, and we go from person to person to person, it's so easy. It's so easy. And this is how good character development is done.
Yeah, I think so. And because we're very closely associated with Will, like we follow Will a lot whenever he takes breaks from the group. So when it does feel overwhelming to us as an audience is frequently when Will step out to go to the pool or the bathroom or something like that. So there's like this burst of activity. He's face to face with Eden and, David is arriving for hugs and speeches, and Will almost immediately is like, no, I can't do this right now. I need to take a breather. So he steps back, and that's actually when he sees a naked woman who is later revealed to be Sadie, played by Lindsay Burge, as you said. And meanwhile, you know, the rest of them are like toasting to new beginnings. But I do love, you're right, how the camera and the tension is often like it becomes really tense and too much, and then we pull back to give everybody just a breather, but the tension never fully dissipates because it's still lingering. Like, we know as soon as Will goes back into it, we will also have to go back into it.
Exactly. And also important to note, none of these people have seen Eden in 2 years.
2 full years, and they don't really understand why now.
Oh, and they don't know where she's been. Like, she disappeared.
Yes. So very quickly it comes out that, because part of like, who is this Sadie person? Why is she here? Nobody knows her. So we learned that Eden and David met Sadie in Mexico, which is where they spent the last 2 years, and that she is staying with them. And I think this is your first glimpse that Eden and Sadie don't entirely get along, because it's like, and she's staying here with us.
And she's going to be in the afterlife, and that sucks.
And then our next sort of taster of things to come is when Kira mentions, oh yeah, so we hit a coyote on the way up, and everyone reacts very strongly to this, right? Like, they're very empathetic. Oh my gosh, why didn't you tell us sooner? Oh, that sounds horrible. You know, tell us everything about it. So like, death is kind of in the air, but these people are receptive and interested. They want to talk about it, which is heavy, because we also know that there's this unspoken tragedy between Eden and Will that we don't fully understand yet.
Yes, but we will find out very soon what that is.
Yeah. So Will excuses himself to go to the kitchen to get a glass of water, and this is where we see a flashback of him stopping a very distraught-looking Eden from dying by suicide.
Yeah, she is straight up like slicing her wrist with a butcher knife at the sink.
Yeah, which is interesting because it seems like an odd choice, right? Like, we're used to seeing characters do this in the bathtub or in the bathroom, and we do actually have a bathroom flashback in this film, but it's sexy times.
But I think that actually speaks to how unstable she was, because again, like we were talking about, like, yeah, someone who's going to die by suicide in the bathtub or whatever, that's almost like it's premeditated, right? This reads to me like she was literally like doing the dishes or like putting away something, and she looked and was like, I'm going to do it now.
And to me, I think you're right, but it's also the vantage point from this kitchen is looking out into the yard, which is where Ty died.
Absolutely. You're right.
So I'm bringing in Gifford again. This is the last time. So Gifford says Eden is suffering from something called traumatic grief, which makes remembering the deceased immensely difficult or overwhelming. And this is actually a popular theme in a lot of horror films. You know, anything that's dealing with grief, it's really hard. But it's especially prevalent in Gothic horror. And obviously Gifford's piece is all about contemporary horror films that are using tropes and visual signifiers of Gothic horror, but he reads this house as a kind of contemporary version. Like, it's got all these not literal ghosts, but these kind of hauntings, and that's why we get these flashbacks. That's why Will and Eden are so grief-stricken, because they can't let go of Ty, but also the house itself is almost a character in the movie in the way that we move through it. It has secrets, like, especially in this one, it's like when they go up to try to find the door to the garage, and Eden has changed the house, and Will is surprised because it's not the same place he used to live in or remember.
Well, because I think it's right after this when he's like, there's bars on the windows.
Yes. Yeah, that's this scene in particular. He's like, wait, what's going on with this? And of course, Eden just dodges these questions, right? Like, she doesn't really explain what she was doing in Mexico. She just starts to talk about how she got rid of that useless pain and that she's free and she wants him to be too. And you get the impression that things might have gone differently, except that this is when Ben comes in and Ben overhears this and he just starts cracking jokes, right? He calls it fucking crazy and he wants to make fun of it. And you can tell that Eden feels very seriously about this because she slaps him and dresses him down for being the jokester that nobody finds funny.
Okay, yes. So, the bars in the window, that's your first kind of like, okay, something, well, sorry, not the first thing, but it's like, okay, something is off here.
It's not right.
Right, but it's not like a red It's a yellow flag.
Yeah, it's enough to make you pause, but not enough to say, oh, you need to get the fuck out of that house. Because a lot of people feel, oh, you know what? She doesn't feel safe in this house anymore.
Yeah.
So she puts bars on the windows.
And that's her. Yeah, she said, I lived here alone with my money for a long time.
So much money.
Yeah, so I put bars in the window, whatever. But yeah, this scene, so I actually love Blanchett's acting because, yeah, Ben walks in, he says something, and she breaks for a second and then literally like waves him away. Like, oh, like, I know this isn't really your kind of thing.
Yep.
And then he says, yeah, that's fucking crazy. And she just, so your reaction to this. Okay, so like for you, if you're Ben, and your friend, one of your good friends that you haven't seen in 2 years slaps the fuck out of you, what do you do?
So this is tricky because I feel like characters walk on eggshells a lot through this film. Like, they want to be polite, but they also want to be understanding. So I'm looking at this through Ben's perspective, and I'm thinking, you know what? It's only been 2 years. She's clearly not over it. Like, I'm not going to make a fuss out of it because she's still grieving.
Yeah.
But I would be like, no, what the fuck? Like, oh, I can't make a joke about this? You sound nuts.
I know. Have I ever slapped someone? I don't think I've slapped someone who didn't tell me they wanted me to slap them.
Speaking of sexy times, yes. I mean, Brian and I will sometimes slap each other, but it's like, it is a jokey thing. Like, it's very much what Ben is doing, where it's like, you know, you said something offensive to me and I'm going to like gently smoke you in the face.
Right, like a pat on the cheek.
Yeah, or it's very, like, not serious. I'm not actually interested in hurting you. I'm not inflamed or incensed by what you just said. Here, you're right. It does feel like the facade crumbles momentarily, and you get to see a little bit of maybe who Eden was before, but also it's so evident that she will not be mocked. This is not a subject that she is interested in disputing. Like, this is what she believes in, and she will fucking slap you if you disagree.
No, she is so easygoing, so like polite, whatever. But yeah, this is like hollow ground. Also, when I said pat on the cheek, you're like, no. I was like, oh, so he's like, no, we hit each other.
We hit each other. It's not abuse. I swear, we both do it.
But yeah, then immediately after, you know, she's like, it's fine. I've let it go already, and so should you. Okay.
See, that to me is the weirder part. I'm like, you know what? Be angry because I said something stupid. You know what? Point taken. I'm not going to do it again. But when she comes back and she tries to pretend like it's not a big deal, she seems so culty in that moment.
Well, that's like the equivalent of like a microcosm of her greater issue of denying her grief.
Yes, yeah. She's clearly not processing it. She's just bottling it up with this fakeness. Okay, so Will and Ben end up hanging out a little bit. You know, they catch up on their respective lives. Yeah, this is when Eden comes back in. She says she's forgiven Ben. And then Will meets up with Claire. He learns that she's newly tenured as a faculty member. And then we have the introduction of Pruitt, who is played by John Carroll Lynch. And when this actor shows up in a movie... you know that shit is about to hit the fucking fan.
It's so funny because I agree with you. He's a character actor, and I mostly associate him with Zodiac and Twisted the Clown, American Horror Story. But what I always forget, one of his earliest roles is in Fargo, where he's the kindly husband.
He is, yeah. I mean, he's a fantastic actor, so I don't mean to diminish the performance he's giving, but like when he shows up, he is coded as a kind of villain or antagonist in my mind because of a lot of the roles that he's played. So he's also really physically intimidating, right? He's a big guy. He's a tall guy. He doesn't look like he'd be easy to get by if you needed to make a break for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, unless the doors aren't locked, which...
So everyone is like, who the fuck is this person? Except Sadie, David, and Eden, who are all delighted that he has arrived. So his arrival reinforces the fact that Choi has still not arrived. So Gina has been saying, you know, oh, I thought he was going to get here early. Oh, what a goof. Where is he, though? How come I haven't heard from him? And we also start to notice other things like, oh, there's no cell reception up here. That comes up a lot. And why is David locking the door?
And again, he gives a perfectly reasonable explanation, right? Oh, there's been break-ins in the neighborhood recently, so I'm trying to be safe. The movie does such a good job of volleying these things where it's that's weird, but then they give this perfectly oh yeah, that makes sense explanation for it.
Yeah, aren't you reading into this too much? Aren't you overreacting? Because as an audience member, and particularly because we're associated with Will, we're very much aware of this. Will is looking at all of these things. He's taking in every little piece of information because he feels like something is not right. He didn't like this from before he even set foot in the house. So we are in the same boat as him. But then, yeah, I mean, no one is acting nefarious, and there are explanations for all of these decisions. So David is like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't realize that you felt uncomfortable. Here, let me put the key back in the lock. Makes a big show out of it. And you think, are we overreacting? Now I feel a bit dumb.
It's so interesting. So I think, again, social cues and what your relationship with them play a big part in how you receive this movie. Because I actually talked to several people who are on the autism spectrum after seeing this because they were in my audience. And they were a lot of the ones that were just I don't understand why no one left this this house.
They were like, oh, I would have gotten out of there immediately.
Exactly. But I think it's the thing where it's yeah, I mean, if you're on the spectrum and you're not, you take social cues differently, or you have you address them differently, you understand them differently. So I find that very fascinating as to how people who are on the spectrum would view this in a completely different way than someone who is not.
Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, because I'm familiar with a lot of other horror films that do this. Ironically enough, there's a Dutch film called Speak No Evil that debuted on Shudder earlier this year. And a lot of people felt the same thing about that movie, where it's all about the social niceties. It's red flag central, but I'm going to be polite because I don't want to offend someone. I'm a guest in your house. I don't want to make waves.
Yep.
And yet, if you had have made waves, it might have saved you.
Exactly. And it's so good.
I will say this movie is far more successful than Speak No Evil, which just kind of feels like an exercise, but...
That's interesting. I want to watch it because I've been reading so many
you haven't
good things
seen
about
it, sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, I know that apparently it's supposed to be this huge, downer, fucked up thing.
It's just uncomfortable and then grueling.
Yeah, that's basically what I know about it. But yeah, so I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, it's worth watching. I liked it, but at the end of it, I was like, I don't know that I got much out of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So after David makes this big show about the key, this is when Will, again, recuses himself. He goes for firewood, and we get another echo of Ty playing in the house. And while he's out by the pool, he observes Eden putting something in a drawer in her bedroom. And when he covertly investigates, he finds a bottle of pills. So after this, we get a not extended flashback. There aren't really any extended flashbacks, but this one is one of the lengthier ones. And it shows a happier time when Will and Eden get caught having sex in the bath by their son Ty.
I mean, are they having sex? She's really just, I guess she's lying on his wiener.
I mean, they say that
I know.
They say it in the film, but yeah, I've never read it. I was like, they're just having an intimate bath together, but it's... I don't know. I think it's really important for the film because a lot of the times when movies do things after a tragedy, we don't understand the relationship of who the people were before.
Right.
Whereas this movie takes the time to say, Eden and Will were really fucking happy and they were a really good couple. And then their son died and it all went to shit.
Well, what I love though is that we don't have these long, drawn out flashback scenes of exposition. This is the longest one, really. Mm-hmm. But the movie doesn't take the time to be okay, well, let's go back and see how happy they were. You get glimpses, and it's enough for you to move on.
Yeah, this child actor is present, but he's not really a character. You just get enough to know that they deeply loved him and that they were good parents and all of these other things. It's just a taster, but it's so well executed that the meaning is really easy to extract without feeling like we're slowing down the present day narrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after the flashback, we follow as Will comes back into the room, and this is where the truth of what was happening in Mexico comes out. So I think it's Gina who basically says, you were all in a cult.
Well, it's funny, because we hear her scream off camera whenever he's having his little flashback. And so again, like, we as the audience know we are watching a horror film, or I'm sorry, a genre film, whatever you want to call it. So you're like, oh God, something's about to happen. No.
No.
Gina's just being extra.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's like, oh my God, you were in a cult. And David pushes back on this. He's like, no, it wasn't really a cult. Like, cults are filled with dumb people who are being manipulated. We were smart. It has outlets in Los Angeles, in New York, and all these other places. So again, he's got this rational explanation for why it's not that big of a deal.
It's exactly like what someone in a cult would say.
Well, yeah. And even if you buy into what he's saying, he then uses that as an opportunity to say, well, I've got this video that I want to play for you. This fucking video. So we see Dr. Joseph, played, as you mentioned, by Toby Huss. He's comforting a dying woman named Annie, who is played by Danielle Camastra. And it starts innocuously. Like, I'm just so perplexed as to what they thought this was going to achieve, because this does not sell this beautiful, peaceful death that they're trying to get everyone on board for. It's like, it ends and Gina basically says, did you just show us a snuff film?
So, okay, here's the thing. I've talked to many people who were like, I would have been at the house right then. Like, they're the Claire. And I'm like,
my God, that's what the game for this movie is. It's like, when would you have left the house? Was it bars on the window? Was it the key in the door? Was it the death cult video?
But again, I will reiterate this. If you're saying that, I get it, because it's like, okay, well, you don't know these people. If this is your, like, a group of your best friends, or two of your best friends doing this, who you have known for decades, who have been through some trauma, who have been, who's been missing for 2 years. Like, there's so much more there to where I'm like, there's no suspension of disbelief for me. I believe that a lot of these people, sans Claire, would stay in this situation.
Oh, 100%. I'm giving these people so much leeway because I can't begin to understand what they've been through. Yeah, is it a little bit weird? Where have you been these last 2 years? Oh, it was a cult? Oh, sweetie, that's my mindset. I'm not saying, ooh, this is weird, I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah. Now, granted, if you want to talk about cringe, this entire scene is just... And again, it's so unsettling because, Toby Huss is like, you're loved. We love you. I just feel so much. It's so culty, but yes.
Yes. I honestly, the first time around, I thought, is he going to put a pillow over her face? Like, is he going to kill her? And it's not as nefarious as that, but it is so creepy that they are filming this and then showing it at this random dinner party with no advance warning. Like, these people do not have any idea what is in store for them when David hits play.
Oh, and that's the thing too, because again, people are going to be like, oh, well, why don't they say something? And then just when you're like, why is no one saying anything? Will's like, I just don't understand why you show that at a dinner party.
Yes, exactly. And he gets really, really upset. David and Eden, they try to explain that this is part of the practice that helped them. So we understand that David has also similarly experienced something. He lost his first wife. We don't ever get clarity about how or when that happened. But, he is also, to a certain extent, damaged by grief. So... Will gets very upset because he doesn't want to address this, but also I think Will is most upset because the two of them are so calm. Like, the video is disturbing, but then the way that they talk about their grief doesn't correlate to how Will feels or expresses his emotions, and he gets really mad.
Well, because you're right. And so normally it's like, okay, dude, everyone handles grief differently. I get that. However, but his issue is she is erasing the memory of this son. Or at least that's what that's sounds how he like feels. To him. Yeah, I mean, because we now know later that's not the case. She wants to go be with her son. Yeah. But in his eyes, she is forgetting or erasing him. And he's like, that is offensive to me and our son.
Yeah. Oof. I will say the person I feel the most for in this entire movie is Kira, because I can't imagine what it feels like to be her having to watch all of these encounters between these two.
She is honestly, Girlfriend of the Year award.
Oh my God. How she doesn't walk out of there when he's like, oh, you can't help me. You will not be able to get me through this, when they have their conversation at the pool later. I'm like, cool. I'm diving off that cliff and walking home because fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, bitch, get out. Leave the house. Nothing is here for you. Also, because I was asking myself, like, why do they want her there? Because why does Eden want her in the afterlife? But then it's like, oh, but she wants someone there for David. But it's like, maybe you should make sure that they're good before you submit them to the afterlife together.
Oh, God. I can't imagine being Kira and having to spend my afterlife with this group of people. Yeah, so Will gets really upset, and he kind of, like, he takes a step back, and there's a knock at the door, and we don't get to see who's there, but David turns them away and locks the door again. And once again, Will is clocking all of this. So he is seeing every little weird infraction, but it's not enough for him to say, like, what is happening? I don't understand.
So, okay, because what's really happening here, this is them getting the wine and the poison, right?
I think so. Either that or it's a kind of like, yeah, we're good to go. Like everybody else is moving ahead.
Yeah. Does the film provide a rational explanation for what this is, or do we just move past this?
I think we just move past it. Like we're sort of left to our own devices to assume or infer. Like the movie treats us smartly, like, you know what, you can kind of figure it out or suss it out.
Well, I think it's a thing. I mean, again, like, because we were in Will's POV the entire time, it's a thing where it's like, okay, he's had a few reservations that have all been explained away. So this is him being like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm gonna move on. Like, this is nothing. Like that is what this moment is.
100%, yeah, because we see him seeing it, but he doesn't raise it. We just kind of move past.
Exactly.
Although he does then ask Miguel for confirmation about what the pills are. So Miguel is either in med school or is a doctor or a GPD or something like that. And he clocks the pills as old school barbiturates, which is unusual.
So, okay, barbiturates, they're downers, but they like, what, just chill you out?
Well, it's not going to be prescribed in the same way that something like a Xanax is, right? So the fact that she doesn't have like a better prescription on them is a little bit of a weird thing.
Well, because yeah, it's primarily used to treat seizures.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's why it's like, yeah.
Why is she using these exactly?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I'm trying to look this up. Sorry, we might have to cut some of this out. Treats for seizures, withdrawal from benzodiazepines. It's used to treat that. So side effects. Sedation and hypnosis are the principal side effects. Occasionally, they are also the intended side effects of phenobarbital. Central nervous system effects such as dizziness, nystagmus, and ataxia are also common.
Okay.
It seems like it's just meant to like dissociate. Like it just levels you out. I guess like a Xanax would, but like probably more intense.
Okay. I mean, the writing on the wall is that Eden shouldn't be taking these, and it's kind of even where did she get these from? Yeah,
exactly.
So this is when Tommy comes in and basically reassures Will. You know, he sees that he's acting weird, and he understands that there is some Manson-y vibes, but it's harmless because it's LA.
It's, did you ever see Ty West, The Sacrament?
I haven't. That's actually the only film of his that I haven't seen.
So it's the same thing. I mean, I'm going to spoil it for you.
It's fine. I knew it was Manson.
It's Jonestown, right?
Yeah.
That's I don't love The Sacrament because it's found footage. But it's a thing where it's like, yeah, if you walk in, you're like, okay, this is Jonestown. Like, you know the ending going forward. And I think this would make a very interesting double feature to see, different ways of telling the story, both like, you know, with film and found footage or whatever. But also how each one does tension differently, because I do think The Invitation is much more successful in that department.
Yeah. And both could be said to be sort of obvious because you know, or you have a sense of where the end game is.
And they both have the same end game. I mean, in the sense that, you know, poison drinks.
Yeah. Cults.
And cults, yes.
Okay, so just in case you felt, all right, we've got another rational explanation. Other people are noticing that Will is acting a little bit odd, but they're still on board, so we can all just kind of calm down a little bit. This is when David introduces a game called I Want, in which you admit your desires honestly.
See, okay, I love the idea of this game, but again, it's...
No!
I mean, minus the fact that it is a little rapey.
Mm.
But again, you have to, not everyone, you're not going to be able to do everything you want. So what happens if you say something, it's like, oh, we can't do that. Or we don't have the capabilities for that. It's like, oh, moving on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it feels like the intention is to help people become more honest about what they truly want, but also to get them more comfortable speaking their piece, which is ironic because in a way, that's exactly what Eden and David are not doing, right? Like, they're projecting this kind of phony peace and love and all of this stuff, but then they're saying, oh, everybody else should be very candid and tell us what they really want in life. And you get certain people like Gina who treat it amusingly. You know, she says she wants Coke, so David gives her some Coke. But then you also, you get Eden saying, oh, I always wanted to kiss Ben, even though he's married and his wife isn't there. And then she just puts one on him for like a good, 30, 40 seconds? It's a lot of tongue.
Yeah. Well, also, like, she's with David, and David's right there, and he's like, all right, man, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, maybe they're polyamorous, and that's fine. Like, maybe that's part of what they were doing in Mexico. Maybe that's part of the reason why Sadie is staying with them. But this, especially the tone and the vibe of this film is such that this comes off very weird.
It does, but also not. I mean, it is weird, but again, whenever Gina says, I want some of that Coke you used to do, and he's like, all right, I got some. She's like, oh, no, I was kidding. No, you weren't.
But she's not,
like,
yeah.
No, okay, shit, bust that shit out.
This is the moment where, I mean, I joked that this is the reason why you like Gina, but this, I think, is also the reason why Gina is such a fun, lovable character, because she's the kind of girl who does say that, but she really does mean it. She just doesn't want other people to judge her for it.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, the most unrealistic part of this movie is that she eats food after doing this.
It's a dinner party. You have to be polite and eat the food.
Uppers decrease your appetite. It makes you feel full. But yeah, this, I mean, again, it's a thing where it's like, yes, this is a weird. I think this is too where your only in LA mindset comes in, right? Because yeah, this, if you did this in like a little suburban like a group of moms, this, yeah, people be like, what the fuck are we doing here? But this, it's like, okay, people in LA, I'm saying this lovingly, are just weird enough to be like, you know what, this is fine.
Yeah, I mean, my comparison was actually going to be Bodies, 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 because we kind of referenced it a little bit earlier, and it feels like the kind of game that they may also play, but I realize that is also a bit of a satire or a gentle indictment of a certain kind of culture. Yeah,
very much so. Well, you know, again, we'll tie them together. When you have a lot of money, you're able to experience a lot of things, so fewer things are weird to you.
Yeah, okay. You know what? I will go along with that. Okay, so this seems fun. We're having a little bit of a laugh, and then Pruitt takes center stage, and he talks about his painter wife, Margaret, who he killed in a drunken, terrible mistake that sent him to prison for 7 years. But it's okay, Trace, because he has accepted the invitation, and now he is cured. He no longer feels guilty, and he has forgiven himself. And this is a pick your jaw up off the floor kind of mic drop, like, what the fuck did I just hear?
But it's the tape part 2.
Yes, 100%.
But what it's a long monologue, and it starts so benevolently, right? But again, you're in the back of your mind, you're like, well, something's not.
Something weird is going to happen.
Something isn't right here. And then, but when he says that he killed her, his tone doesn't change.
No.
Like, Lynch's performance here is outstanding.
Oh my God.
And again, it's where he's describing this horrific event. He went to jail. He went to jail for this.
And let's be clear, it was not really an accident. He hit his wife so hard that she died.
It's okay. And, you know, because for me, I don't like watching people beg for their lives. I've said this before.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing him just say, you know, she fell. And then, but she was not dead yet. She was reaching for him and making noises before she just slipped away. I was like, that's a really nice way of putting that you murdered her, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the reason his voice doesn't change is because he doesn't feel guilty. He admits it. It's not like he's trying to hide what he did. He just doesn't have the same kind of emotional, normal reaction that the rest of us would have. But it's because in his mind, he sent her to this other better place that he's going to be going to shortly. So it doesn't matter.
So I'm checking the pulse now, Joe. Now that you know there's a murderer in your midst, are you leaving this party?
I mean, I'm so weirded out by this dude and then also Sadie's kind of erratic, irrational behavior. I'm just getting very uncomfortable. Like, I am 100% the Claire of this group. I'd be peacing out. Okay, well, you know what? I just need to get in my car. Thank you so much. The cheese was lovely. The wine, I didn't really have any. I've got to go now. Thank you so much.
See, I'm the Gina where I'm like, oh, just give me more substances and I'll be able to tolerate this more.
Oh my God, Trace, you're the first one to go in this movie.
Yeah.
Although, ironically enough, I am, if I'm the Claire, because I do not believe that Claire gets out of this movie alive.
Okay, so are you ready for the thing?
I'm ready for the thing.
So it actually is later, but it deals with Claire. So basically, when Will tells Kara, like, you can't help me, there was going to be a shot that would show a near-dead Claire in the bushes.
Oh.
Now.
Why?
Well, so here's the thing. Does that not change the entire rest of the film and deflate any tension of what's about to happen?
Oh, 100%. The moment where Will has his freak out and then it is revealed that he was right and Gina has died or is in the process of dying, so powerful. I cannot imagine just having a weird image of Claire's body a la, Black Christmas in the attic. It's not going to work. You can't just have her hiding dead in the bushes.
And look, here's the thing. The reveal comes not 5 minutes later.
It doesn't matter, though. Like, to me, it's all about the pacing and the flow.
Yes, and that moment, of Gina dying, like, that is ruined, because you already know, well, yeah, they're a cult that's killing people. Like, that's exactly... unless the intent with the original screenplay was like, oh, it's just Pruitt who's the murderer, because we know he's a murderer. But basically, when they shot this, when they put the edit together, Kusama was the one that was like, we have to cut that shot out. We cannot have that shot in this movie.
Thank God. Yeah, I would not have liked that at all.
But nevertheless, if you were wondering what happened to Claire, she is definitely dead.
So, funny enough, Brian pushed back on me when I asked him. I was like, so she's so dead, right? And he was like, well, I mean, you could assume that, but also maybe they just let her leave, right?
No, because again, the idea here is that these are the people that Eden wants with her in the afterlife. So Pruitt, who is now one of her closest friends, is doing this for Eden to like, no, you can't leave because my really good friend wants you in the afterlife with her. So I'm doing you and her a favor.
Yeah. But I mean, that's us having to read between the lines, right? Like, you could just as easily say, well, we don't see that. We see Pruitt move his car and we see Claire start to drive away. And then, yes, he does stop her, but we never actually see what happens. She could have gotten out.
Well, because Will doesn't see what happens, right? Because when he's trying to look, David pulls him aside. And then we get this whole thing where it's like, dude, you've been really ungrateful to my hospitality.
Ooh, the gaslighting is... A+. David is masterful at this. Not only am I covering up the murder of Claire that's happening right in front of your eyes, I'm also turning it back on you and making you feel bad for questioning me.
But that's he doesn't think that's what he's doing. Like, I mean, he knows it's what he's doing actually, but his reasoning for it is all good intention. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the end game is to get these people to the dinner table so that we can kill them peacefully with some poisoned wine. We didn't want any of the actual violence. We just wanted these people to come with us to a happier place.
Well, that's the people that are like, oh, I predicted the ending, so like the movie wasn't good. I'm just like, okay, but here's the thing. If it was the opposite and it was all in Will's head, you'd all be saying the same fucking thing.
Oh, God. Can you imagine? That would have sucked. This movie would be terrible.
It would have been... I would have to see I like that less, obviously, because the ending for this movie rules. But in a movie like this, you have two choices. Something is going on, or your main character is not right in the head, or, whatever. And... so, yeah, it's a 50-50 shot. So I'm sorry, I predicted the ending. It does not fly with me. Fuck you.
I just think, you know what? That's fine if you want to have that opinion after a first time watch. I've had those reactions where you're like, ugh, the movie, like, I knew what was going to happen. It just wasn't that exciting. I think I even said that on our Bodies episode for Patreon, where I was like, yeah, I could kind of figure it out. And I just didn't like it that much. But that also doesn't mean the movie is bad. that only diminishes the movie if the only enjoyment you get out of it is anticipating where it ends. And I'm sorry, I'm more of a person who's like, it's about the journey getting there and how it does it. Like, I'm more interested in how this movie creates tension and suspense and uses its actors and Kusama's direction than I am the fact that, oh yeah, it's a cult who's murdering people. That's not the interesting part of this movie to me.
And you can say, you know, oh, well, because I knew the ending, the tension was deflated, so it wasn't effective. I could maybe get that.
Maybe. Yeah.
But again, I like what you're saying about watching it again. I mean, people had the same thing about Scream earlier this year, because I saw this movie with many people, because I saw it several times in theaters, where they were like, oh, I called the killer or killers right away. And I was like, okay, that sucks for your first viewing.
Yes.
What beyond that? like when you watch it again, it doesn't matter because you already know the ending of the movie. So why don't you watch the movie on its own terms then, you know?
Yeah, I fully agree. And I do think that sometimes it is hard to emotionally distance yourself because when you watch a movie, you want to get wrapped up in it, right? Like, you don't want to be thinking, oh, how'd they put this together? Ooh, that was a clever way of building this or that and so on. But we talked about this before. Part of our rating system is often influenced by its kind of rewatchability, right? That's how we get comfort movies. That's how we get annual rewatches and so on. So there's a comfort level in rewatching The Invitation because to me, it doesn't matter that I know what's going to happen. It's as effective every single time I watch this because I think it's so well constructed.
I agree. And the difference between this and Screaming Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is this is not a murder mystery whodunit.
Yeah. And I feel like I said that off the top that it almost doesn't matter that that's what the end game is here because I don't think the film is trying to fool you. At times it makes you question whether Will can be trusted, but I think it's obvious that something unusual is happening. Like the film doesn't deny that. Yeah, no, this is playing on our own experiences. So of course, how you react to this movie and what your thoughts are on the characters and the events, it's obviously going to go into your life experiences like most films are. Right, yeah. Whereas in a whodunit, you can argue, the point, quote unquote, is who's the killer? Mm-hmm. That is, the whole, is it a cult? Is it not? Or is there something more sinister going on? I mean, granted, I guess, I don't know. What if it was a supernatural twist, which would not work for this movie at all? Like, I guess you could say, there's an endless list of possibilities about what could have been going on. So, it was just, quote unquote, an evil cult. Mm-hmm. That again doesn't really fly with me because I don't necessarily think the movie's trying to hide the fact that it's a cult. I think it's always like obviously not. We've seen the tape. It's always though, are the intentions sinister? Right. Yeah. And again, you can argue yes, or you can argue no because they don't think it's sinister. I love it. Yeah, I think we're having a more interesting dialogue by trying to put ourselves into the position not of Will, who is the default, but more of the Eden, the David, the Pruitt, the Sadie. Yeah. Their actions are not malicious. And I feel like that's part of what Kusama's quote was, right? Is the different ways that people process grief and how we are so resistant to moving beyond it, different processes of trying to handle it and so on. And to me, I think the movie works well because we have both vantage points. Yes, so I'll pull another quote from Kusama then. And y'all, these quotes are from her director's statement that comes with this Blu-ray. So if you don't have it, please get it because it's good. Yeah, and support the movie. Yeah. But Kusama says, our fear of losing control and our denial of pain and sorrow often leads us to moments of real terror. Within its genre context, The Invitation is exploring the sometimes irrevocable consequences of that denial. Eden and David's desire to negate the sorrows in their past lead them to utterly drastic ends. Will's insistence on keeping his chaotic feelings at bay prevent him from connecting with Kira, a woman who loves him despite the awful tragedy that has visited him. In this film, I'm exploring how a character has to experience something catastrophic to truly embrace his desire to live. Sometimes, for some of us, the worst thing has to happen to us so the best thing can happen. I like that all the way up until the end because I'm still not quite sure that I believe that Will deserves Kira at the end of this movie. Oh, it's not. See, to me, the best thing that can happen is not him deserving Kira. It's him choosing to continue living. Okay. You know what? That tracks a lot more. Yes, that's a better way to read it. We don't get indications that Will is suicidal in this film.
However...
But you very much get the impression he's not really living.
Yes, exactly. So this is his wake-up call to be like, dude, you better live your life because some cult might whine you.
Because you're on the cult's radar and they've been trying to kill you.
I mean, luckily they're all dead, so...
Right. Yeah, presumably a lot of this cult has pieced out after this one evening.
The invitation to, they're back.
Oh my god.
Colton up.
Some of us didn't drink the Kool-Aid. Terrible. Okay, so it's time for dinner upstairs, but Will finds that he can't eat and he keeps getting distracted by his memories. I love the simple technical choice of making the eating sounds really loud, and this is where the score really starts to escalate. So we know that he's very upset. And this is also where we start to get those significant party flashbacks. So we come to associate the tragedy from Will and Eden's past to a like-minded party, which to me is like, ooh, that must have been very triggering. Like, no wonder Will was apprehensive about coming to this, because possibly the last significant time they were all together, apart from maybe a funeral, was when their son died.
That's the thing, too. I'm like, why do they still have this house? But I believe that Eden would not let go of this house.
I agree. Yeah. And even the fact that she says, I lived here for a while by myself. I'm like, yeah, I bet you just wallowed in it. And that's probably how she ended up connecting with David. And then from there, off we go, right?
Well, yeah, because we don't know if there was an inciting incident or what happened to make Will leave. Because you're like, oh, well, like, he knows that she's suicidal. He literally stopped one of her suicide attempts and then left her. Now, we don't know the time period the time gap between that. But it must have been to a point where he was like, there's nothing I can do to help you. I have to leave this place.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff where I think I would have liked to have seen it, but I could easily see it distracting from the momentum. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where as an interested viewer who really deeply cares about these characters, like particularly Will and Eden's relationship, I find it endlessly fascinating. And the two actors are so good and magnetic together that I want more scenes with them. But I can't see it effectively playing into this movie. It's almost like, ooh, can I get like some cut scenes or like a little bonus or something?
That's the thing, though. So I mean, yeah, it's the difference between like, do you want to see it or do you need to see it? But
yes, exactly.
But there are deleted. Again, we know there's a twice as long introductory scene. We know there's a shot of Claire dying in the bushes, and none of that is on this Blu-ray.
Nope.
So where is that footage?
It's almost like a David Lynch kind of approach where he says, you know what, even if I shot it, you don't get to see it because that takes away from the movie that I wanted you to see. Exactly.
Because that's the thing, right? Because if you watch these scenes, then you will think about them every time you watch this movie.
Yeah, like really, you poisoned this movie for us by talking about Claire. So fuck you.
Sorry, y'all. Claire's dead.
Claire's dead, y'all. You knew it already. Okay, so Will pieces out so that he can go and hang out by the pool. He leaves the group so many times in this movie. It's almost hysterical.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because he's like, I need a breather. Yeah. But no one, I'm sorry, people care, but they understand because they're like, yeah, you probably haven't been in this house for a long time.
Oh, it's the same way that Ben reacts to Eden, right? It's just, okay, you know what? We're going to let him do what he needs to do because we can't understand what he's going through.
Yeah. So wait, before he leaves, though, I'm sorry, we do get this, not scene, but like a moment of him seeing Sadie silent scream in the bathroom mirror.
Yeah. So this is one of those moments where I don't entirely understand what's going on. It could just be a manifestation of what she's feeling inside and she's trying to express it. Or she's trying to do an approximation of human responses, like in anticipation of, oh, Gina's going to die and I maybe have to fake a reaction.
Interesting. I just read it as she is certifiably insane and she just likes to do this in the mirror.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that could be it as well. Yeah.
It could be all of the above.
All of the above. Sadie is a mystery figure in this movie. I think she's there to add that extra dose of discomfort because she is the wild card. Like, she's the person where if I see a Sadie type at a party, I don't want to be in a room with that person because I don't know how they're going to react.
Well, that's the thing too, right? I mean, I'm sorry, we've talked about a bunch about, okay, why are Pruitt and Sadie here? Pruitt makes sense because it seems like he and Eden and David get along very well, whereas you don't really get that from Sadie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually choosing to believe that, because we know she fucked everyone on this cult, apparently. That's what she was doing.
Yeah. I mean, she propositions Will in this next scene.
Oh, her name is Buck, and she is here to fuck.
Oh my God.
But I'm just like, as the cult like splits off to go back to the States, and they're like, Sadie's like, oh, it's like, everyone, okay, get in your groups and go back to the States. And Sadie like doesn't have a group. They're like, well,
No.
Can someone just take her?
Who wants to take Sadie? Who's got an extra David, I can see you've got an empty seat in the back of the car. David, I need you to take Sadie.
We're drawing straws. And David gets that short. No.
God.
Who wants to be stuck with this bitch in the afterlife for all eternity?
Oh no. Maybe it's like a commune and they'll all meet up. So it's like, okay, well, we just have to carry her until, the death hits, and then we can just send her
then
to
we
go
can all split
with
up.
the other group. Yeah. So one thing that I do love is at this point, I feel like this is the moment where you can really go either way. Is Will overreacting? Is he imagining things? Mm-hmm. Or is there something more nefarious? Because this is the most strategically edited part of the movie. So Sadie propositions him by the pool. Like she says, if you wanted to, we could totally fuck. And he's like, bye. But then the editing suggests that he may have actually imagined the whole thing, because then it's like, wait, was she even there at all? Did you get that?
I didn't get that, but I'm intrigued by this read of yours. I mean, like, look, I'm open to whatever you want to say here. I was more, because the camera just keeps moving closer and closer and closer to their faces, as her face almost like the light coming from the pool almost starts to brighten on her as we get close. So I was like hypnotized by that.
Oh yeah, the lighting in this movie is immaculate. The editing is immaculate. Like, as I said, 5-star movie. There's nothing wrong with this movie. Everything is sheer perfection.
She's like, you can fuck me right now if you want to. And he's like, what?
Again, you have no idea what is going to come out of this woman's mouth. She is like a loaded gun. You have no idea when she's going to go off.
Well, because that's the thing too. I mean, with Sadie, I mean, like, when she is introduced, she's acting like she is in a throuple with Eden and David.
I mean, her introduction is that she's naked in the shadows.
Yeah.
Like, is she trying to come on to him? Is she just hanging out naked to cause a stir? Does she just not care? All of the above.
But that's the thing too, right? Like, they all know they're going, or they think they're going to die. Well, I'm sorry, they will die. They all know they're going to die. So, yeah, it's like that to me, again, is the most dangerous person. If you know you have a ticking clock on your life,
you got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. You can do whatever the fuck you want. So it's freeing, but it's also scary.
Yes. Freedom in scariness. So, yeah, whether or not this does or doesn't happen, I'd be curious to know if other people had that sort of moment of confusion. Let me know.
Please.
But regardless, this is where Tommy shows back up. Tommy's entire role in this movie, up until the part where he kills David, is basically to tell Will, hey, you're freaking people out and you need to calm down.
Okay, so we haven't really discussed the gay couple, because that is one of the reasons why we're covering it on Horror Queers.
100%. We got queer representation. And you know what? It's not a big deal, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same. I mean, again, like, these are characters that they're secondary characters.
Yes, yeah.
Tommy is obviously given a bit more to do, because spoiler alert, he's going to survive.
Yeah, surprising, I will say. I was very, very surprised the first time I saw this movie.
So not only that we have a gay man surviving, but also that we have 3 survivors in this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. If this movie was released nowadays, people would say it's too woke because we have a black woman who survives and a gay man who survives.
Oh my God. And then the other gay guy is a Latino doctor, but with Miguel, unfortunately, like, I do think he is probably the least developed person in this movie outside of Choi. Because he's just like, I just know him as, he's the doctor. Like, that's it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, as I said, I like everybody in this movie, and I wish we had a bit more time with everyone. I think at the end of the day, you have to just accept that this is Will's movie. Kira's important because she's there with him. Eden is important because she is for lack of a better term, kind of the primary antagonist along with David. Mm-hmm. And then, we've got the other cultists who are threatening figures. Everybody else is kind of just background to help us understand the nature of the relationships better. But it's strange. Normally in other movies, I would really complain they're not fleshed out enough. They don't have enough to them. But the scenes where they do get something to do is really meaningful. Like, I think they all do so well with so little that you could probably take out a couple of them and it would still work. But I think what we have works really well.
Well, and I think Tommy is, the more... I agree with you. I think the thing with Tommy is, I assume that Will is closer with Tommy. Like, Miguel is the partner.
Yeah, is it one of those things where they were friends and then Tommy started dating Miguel and it's like, yeah, I also like Miguel, but if you two broke up, you and I would still be friends and I may not be friends with Miguel.
Exactly. Yeah. But also, so, in terms of like where we are in the film, so again, like you're watching this, Sadie tries to fuck him, you're like, oh shit, like, okay, dude, get out of the house. Then Tommy's like, okay, well, dude, Claire is awkward and sexually repressed. Oh, and we forgot to mention the reason, the what sets her off is when Tommy says he wants a blowjob. During the I Want game.
By the way, I fully believe that Tommy wants a blowjob from Will.
100%!
Well, it's just funny because he just says, I want a blowjob. And I'm like, well, he would probably want it from another man. There are several men in this room. But I've always like, I get like a little, if I could hook up with anybody, it would be Will.
Honestly, at that point, if it was going to go forward, I'd be like, well, David, you got to do it because you're the one that said you're going to do this game.
David, you're providing blow and also blow jobs. Yes.
Oh, look at you. Yes. But yeah, so yeah, he's like, he rubs off Claire. Oh my God, rubs off. Oh my God. He brushes off Claire's absence or leaving. Choi is the most unreliable Korean in Los Angeles. That's why he's not here. And I haven't seen Eden in 2 years, so I'm trying to make the best of this. Like, again, we are rationalizing everything. But again, none of these are red flags. They are all yellow flags. So it's like not bad enough to be like, get the fuck out.
It's just a really awkward dinner party.
Yeah. That should be the name of the movie.
Subtitle. Yeah. So yeah, this does sort of walk Will back from the edge once again until he checks his voicemail because he finally gets reception near the edge of the pool. And lo and behold, Trace, he has a message from Choi that says he did arrive early. So where the fuck is Choi?
I remember seeing this in the theaters and everyone.
It's just like, oh shit! We knew it! But we just got confirmation and now it's fucking real. But I love it because he barely even has time to react, right? Because this is when he goes up for dinner. There's a cake. It's not working out. He flips out. He says, it's been 2 years. Eden, you're acting really weird. And where's Choi? Where the fuck is Choi? And
he if what he is saying turns out to not be true, he looks very, very stupid and foolish and insane. He looks not well.
Yeah. So this was the part where Brian was just like, oh God, no, I can't watch this. This is making me so uncomfortable because it really does seem like Will is flying off the handle, right? He's gone off the deep end. He's making an ass of himself. I'm Kira on the side being like, oh my God, we've got to go. I'm so sorry. This was a bad decision. You know what? It's just not a good time. I'm so sorry.
We have got to go.
We have got to go. And this is when Choi, played by Carl Yoon, arrives.
The doorbell rings. The doorbell rings and all of their heads just turn.
Love it. Honestly, it does kind of give me Clue vibes. Like,
yes,
this moment of high tension. Doorbell. Oh, who could it be? Well, it's not the singing telegram. It's just Choi. Fashionably late as usual. He was delayed by work. Here he is. Gina's so happy to see him. Everybody's like, classic Choi. And Will's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I gotta go wash my face.
You know, we haven't used the word playful to describe this film, but this is first. Like, because again, you think, okay, cool, we're getting to the end of this, like it's all about to come out. Oops,
yeah, it's all going to happen now. Nope, we're cutting the tension again.
Because this movie does such a good job of making you as an audience member also feel paranoid. And the difference is we have the luxury of knowing we are watching a genre film. Will does not have the luxury of knowing he's in a genre film.
No, this is just Will's life, and it's kind of terrible. But I will say, most gorgeous shot, and maybe it's just because I'm a sucker for these kinds of shots, but when he's washing his face, you can see his face reflected in the two mirrors, so it looks like there's a million of him going down. And you're kind of like, ooh, it's like glimpsing into his mind. His mind has fractured into all of these different angles of like, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. Oh, I guess I was wrong because Choi is there, but also what happened to Claire, and so on and so on. And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I love that you said fractured. I was thinking exactly fractured psyche the entire time.
Yeah, so Kira tries to talk him down back at the pool. He basically tells her she cannot help him, and she still sticks around. Girlfriend of the year, 100%.
I haven't seen this actress in really anything else, but I like her a lot.
She's great, yeah. So he isn't ready to rejoin the party, so he goes to Ty's room, which is now David's office, important to note. Has a little cry, has a little flashback, and then he observes David hanging a red lantern in the backyard.
I think the first time I saw this, I put in my head, I was like, oh, that's what was brought to the door that Pruitt took.
Oh, you know what? Actually, it could maybe be.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's like, here's your poison and also your red lantern.
Yeah. The poison was in the lantern. Also, here's a decanter. Oh, because here's the thing, too. The poison wine is in a decanter. All the other wine that's poured we see is in a bottle.
Yes, and we're constantly seeing drinks getting refilled. David is the consummate host, so he's constantly, ooh, let me top you up, let me give you a little bit more. So we're trained to keep an eye on the different glasses and the different bottles. So we do notice when it's different in the decanter versus a bottle.
Oh, and they get these tiny ass glasses too for this toast.
Because you just need a little pointing.
They don't know. I mean, they know that. But they don't know that.
Why is he cheaping out on us right now?
Wait. So I'm sorry. So we get the red lantern, and we're like, well, that's kind of weird. But maybe it's like a cult tradition to like hang a red lantern. But then he sees this video.
Yeah, and then we open up a laptop, and lo and behold, it's Dr. Joseph saying, hey, everybody, I know this is really hard, but you just have to take the first step. Ominous, ominous, ominous.
I love you so much. I love you so much. My heart is breaking. Like, vomit.
And it's great because Toby Huss is not an inherently scary actor, right? Like, if this was John Carroll Lynch delivering this, I would be terrified. But Toby Huss just kind of looks like your uncle. So you're like, oh, that's weird. The cult leader is saying something that doesn't seem quite normal.
Yeah. So, but again, so you as the audience are watching this after having just had this huge blowout. Will's proven wrong. He's crying. Again. He's apologizing. Like, the tension is diffusing a little bit, and so then you're just like, well,
yeah. And then Pruitt says, "You know what? Come back upstairs. We're going to do the toast." So Will's like, "Okay, fine." So we come up. David's there. We've got wine in these little glasses for everybody. And David starts to talk about making peace and a better world. And Will just flips the fuck out and he starts smashing the glasses, telling everybody, no, don't drink that, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, oh no. And Brian was crawling under the couch at this point. He was like, no, oh my God, he cannot keep doing this.
So I think the moment for me when I was like, okay, no, this is for sure bad, we see Gina drink this wine.
Yeah, if you're paying attention, you will notice she's the only one, and everybody else kind of like pauses because there's this melee of madness. But then Will gets pinned to the ground. You think, okay, this has got to end. Like, we need to take him away. This is how the movie's going to stop. He's been wrong this whole time. And then, lo and behold, Gina is dying.
No, the way this is doled out is so cool because so we, Sadie's like, you ruined everything, blah, blah, blah. And he knocks her on the ground, and they're trying to resuscitate her. And we hear from the background she's not breathing, and Miguel's like, yes, she's breathing, and then someone goes, not her, Gina, and then just cut to Gina's like head on the table, foam coming out of her mouth. It is
well. And it's extra good because the way that Sadie gets hit is reminiscent of how Pruitt hit his wife.
Yes.
So then to hear, oh, she's not breathing, you think, oh my God, Will overreacted so much. He has done what Pruitt has done before.
Yes. And then you get that reveal. And it's the foam in the mouth that does it. It's just like...
Oh, 100%. You're like, well, she's dead. And of course, it's Gina, the loudest, most extra character in the film, the most gregarious, the most likely to do a line of coke or drink the wine first. And she's the one who suffered. Well, maybe, or didn't suffer, because everybody else has a more terrible fate.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the survivors, she gets out. Actually, no, she does get the easiest out, because the survivors have a lot of trauma to deal with after this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, rip Gina. She didn't deserve this, but also, at least she got to go out quickly and easily.
Yeah, she probably didn't even know that she died.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so, we have, this is when the score kicks in, too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that thing where it's starts quiet, then it starts ramping and ramping and ramping and ramping, just getting louder. And then the gun goes off. So Miguel gets shot in the back by David, and it goes into slow motion. We've got white noise and ticking on the soundtrack as well. Ugh. We see Pruitt just so calmly walk up to David. I remember I thought, oh, David has lost his mind. He's going to shoot Pruitt. And Pruitt just takes the gun from him like you would from a child. And then he shoots Choi. And then this is when everybody else just makes a fucking run for it. So there's a really good shot. It's before Pruitt gets the gun, but we have David pointing the gun, Pruitt reaching out to him. You see Will and Kira off to the right. But between David and Pruitt, you see Eden just up against the wall looking aghast at everything that's happening.
Yeah. Because at this point, we still don't understand that this was meant to be quick and easy. Like, you can piece it together, but it's happening so fast at this point. It feels like we barely had a moment to breathe between Will's outburst, Sadie's attack, and then Gina's death reveal. Suddenly, Miguel is dead, and maybe Choi is dead, and wait, what is happening? And yeah, there's Eden in the background, just kind of, oh my god, this was not how it was meant to go, but we don't understand that. So I remember thinking that she and David didn't really, they weren't in on this or something. I was very confused about whose motives were what.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just had different ideas.
Same
end game.
The end goal was the same.
yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's the thing, right? Because she's like, this is barbaric. This is not good. Okay, but secretly killing them is better.
Perfectly fine. Yeah. So Ben, Will, and Kira run downstairs. This is when Sadie attacks Will, but they manage to kind of get her off there. They lock themselves. Well, Will and Kira manage to lock themselves in a room, and then they have to watch as Sadie and Pruitt kill Ben by the pool.
I love this. So they go down the stairs, and they basically, Ben walks one way, and Will and Kira walk the other, and he's like, Ben! And then Kira's like, no, we gotta go! But it's that, because right before Pruitt shoots Ben, you hear Ben just go, wait, no!
Yeah.
Shot.
Yeah. After having been stabbed by Sadie. He gets stabbed and then shot. And if you think about it from Ben's perspective, sure, the evening was weird. There were some unusual happenings. There were these strangers. But you don't know what's happening. You just know that you're about to be murdered, but for reasons unknown. And I can't imagine how scary that would be.
Well, that's the other thing, too, I mean, they're just like, okay, we're going to be together in the afterlife. It's like, you don't think they're going to be a little mad that you killed them?
Yeah, but you got eternity to get over it.
Exactly. They're like, look, it's paradise. All your dead loved ones are here. That's my racist grandma. I don't want to be around her.
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to ditch racist grandma as well as Sadie as soon as we get over there. Don't worry about it. So Will tells Kira that they need to be ready for anything and that she's going to have to fight. So they've got a plan, though. He remembers that there's a door to the garage that may not have bars. It may not be locked. So they make this game plan that that's where they're going to go. And as they're making their way towards the stairs, because, of course, at this point, we understand the geography of the house very well.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this, but this is like Wes Craven levels of perfection.
So I meant to ask you this earlier because, yeah, I agree. We know the geography of this house, but we don't get a people under the stairs, or a scream, before we do anything. Let's go through the house and see shit. This is all happening gradually over the course of the film until you don't realize, oh, wait, I do know this house very well.
It's done exactly the same way as the exposition was done about the relationships between everybody, right? It's so well integrated. It's unfolding naturally. But even every time Will takes a step out away from everybody else, right? He's going to the bathroom. He's going to the pool. He's going down the hall. And you realize, oh, that's helping us to understand the layout. And it's so fucking smart.
Yeah. Well, and it's even too where it's like once Gina dies, because the movie, again, it's playful. It goes back and forth. Okay, this is happening. Oh, no, it's not happening. It's just imagination. Oh, it's happening. Oh, it's not. To the point where when Gina dies, you're like, oh, shit, she's out. I don't have any more time with this character or now the rest of these characters.
Yeah. And once Gina's gone, it is accelerator to the finish. Like, the movie becomes a kind of reverse home invasion. We just need to get out of here as quickly as possible. But, like, at this point, I think we probably got maybe 10 to 15 minutes left?
No, I did clock this. So it's the 75-minute mark when Sadie hits her head. The movie's 100 minutes, but 4 of them are credits. So the climax is basically 21 minutes long.
Okay. It feels so much faster than that.
No, it really, really, really... I mean, the movie being effectively 96 minutes, it flies by for me.
It flies by, but it doesn't feel like, oh, this is a hot 89 minutes and I wish that there was more. Like, it doesn't feel like it's missing things per se. It feels so incredibly well-paced, but also it's expeditious, right?
Well, and that's, I keep saying slow burn. I hate that. But it's a thing where it's like, again, a movie that relies primarily on just dialogue in a single setting.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to say it should not be as engaging as it is, but it is so engaging. Like, there's never a dull moment, despite the fact that, again, for 75 minutes, we're just watching people talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this gorgeous house, this gorgeously well-lit house.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I meant expeditious, not expedious. I think that's like the name of a travel website.
Expedia, yeah. Expedia.com.
As in, use it to get the fuck away from this house party. Oh boy. Okay, so as Will and Kira are making their way towards this hopeful exit out through the garage, they pause by the stairs and they hear David reassuring Eden because she is completely distraught and aghast at what has happened.
Yep.
She is not happy, and I am affecting an accent as a result.
Why?
I don't know. I just got back from Scotland. I had so many issues with accents.
Oh, okay. I got you. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So David is like, don't worry. I know this isn't the way that we wanted it to go down, but the end result is
the same.
And we have this amazing shot. It's a bit of a long shot, and we can see Will and Kira kind of crouching in the shadows, and just around the corner we watch as Eden sort of stands up and collects herself, but she is walking like she is in a dream. And like the dress at this point, it's covered in blood and grime and all this other stuff. But this to me, again, really does evoke that gothic manor piece, right? Like she looks like the mad woman who is walking around the dark house at night and there are monsters.
Yes. Oh my God. But also, okay, so him being like, okay, but the end result's the same. Like, that's not how we wanted it. No. Because the way you were going to do it with the poison, yeah, sure, that's a peaceful death. Do you know what happens, Joe, when someone dies in a fit of powerful emotion or rage or anger or whatever?
We get Ju-on?
Yes, we get The Grudge.
Oh my God, that's the sequel to this movie.
Yes. Oh my, the 2020 Grudge is actually a sequel to this movie.
There, we've solved it. We've solved the Invitation Part 2.
All these poor people, they're just grudging it up in this house.
Oh my God. It's like the after party that will never fucking end.
And I would have a big fucking grudge against these people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so Will and Kira make a break for it, but they do discover a fatally injured Sadie on the couch, and she is holding a fire poker. This, again, is never really explained. Is it the result of the previous fight that she had upstairs? Did she do this to herself?
So I've always wondered that too. Because I thought what happened was that she just got tired and she was like, I'm just going to drink my poison now, and just drank her poison.
Okay, but she's... Oh, I guess she could be covered in Ben's blood, right?
Well, the Wikipedia says Tommy fatally wounds Sadie with a fireplace poker, and I don't know how they gathered that information, but I guess that's...
Yeah, we definitely don't know enough to make that assertion.
Yeah, I was like, I missed that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Wikipedia, sure. Tell me something I didn't know, apparently. In any case, she dies here, so Will grabs that fire poker and they head upstairs, where they are immediately attacked by Pruitt. This is where he's doing that thing that I said made me super uncomfortable, where he's trying to kill Will, but he's saying things like, "It's fine, don't worry about it." And I'm just like, "Gah! My brain can't process this."
Oh, man, but how glorious is it that Kira gets this?
Oh, yeah, she takes down arguably the biggest threat of the entire film with a candlestick. It's full-on fucking Clue.
Oh, no, it's a wine bottle, dude.
Oh, is it a wine bottle?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She beats him over the head with it once and then just goes to town.
Yeah, as you do. It's the thing that we always want people to do with killers, right? Don't hit them once and then walk away and assume that they're dead. Be Akira and finish the fucking job.
So here's the thing. So I'm imagining, could I bludgeon someone to death? And also the word bludgeon is very unappealing.
Ooh, I love the word bludgeon, but absolutely no, I could not do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is because I've seen heads get smashed in horror movies before, obviously, but it's could I
No.
could I just crush someone's head with this bottle? I don't know, man. I feel like I get all my DNA all over because I vomit everywhere.
The closest I get is imagining myself as one of the Death Proof girls, where they just get to smash in somebody's face.
Oh, talk about a good ending, by the way.
Right? And then a freeze frame? Yes. Okay, so Pruitt is dead, and we think, cool, okay, let's get to that secret exit above the garage. And no, Eden is shooting Will, and then she shoots herself in the stomach.
Oh, well, good subversion, though, because we think that she is going to shoot Kira.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and Kira's like, wait, no, but yeah, also the most painful way to die.
Mm-hmm. I can't help but feel that this is a reflection of her psyche, because we have seen people kill themselves with a gun a million times in horror films, in regular films. They put the gun in their mouth, they put it to their temple, maybe some other way. If you shoot yourself in the stomach, it's because you want to hurt. Well,
and that's that again, that's what makes Eden such a complex character. She feels terrible. Not the fact that people are dying.
No.
But the fact that they are all dying in a horrible, horrible, traumatic way.
Well, because her whole thing, her and David's message was, it's all about letting go of the pain. I don't feel pain anymore.
Yeah.
So she has caused these people immeasurable pain on the way to sending them to the better place. She doesn't believe it the same way that David and Sadie and Pruitt do. She feels bad that she is hurting these people. She wanted to send them to a place without pain, and all she has done is made them suffer.
One thing I do find interesting, not a flaw, but interesting, is that the concept of suicide is never raised, because in most religions, suicide is a one-way ticket to the bad place. So that is never brought up here.
No, it seems like the cult doesn't seem to have that same belief.
I mean, religion isn't really brought up here, which I think is... I mean, look, I'm not complaining about it, by all means. I mean, you know what? It's because they're LA.
Well, you said earlier, I mean, I think you were sort of half joking, half serious, but this is the place that has Scientology and Kabbalah and who knows what else, and those thread that line between religion and cult and just kind of social practice. So I took this to be a kind of dangerously extreme version of a Kabbalah Scientology version.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible.
Yeah. I also think that it is important because you said we think she's going to shoot Kira. To me, that's very telling. She doesn't really care if Kira comes to the better place, but she did want Will.
Oh, yeah, I guess she... Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I just think that she doesn't want to be any... But yeah, she does shoot Will, so that kind of squashes my theory. I do love Kira's reaction. So after Edie shoots herself, Kira's just like, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Yeah, oh my god. I would be having a breakdown. The funny thing is that you think, okay, well, this is going to continue because we still got to deal with David, and he's going to be the primary antagonist because he's the one who corrupted Eden and all this stuff. And really, the movie kind of doesn't care.
No. David is tertiary in this scenario.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we find out that there is no escape route out through this fictitious garage. We have holed up this door, so we had to go out the front door or out through the back. And we think that David is going to attack because we see him, and Tommy, who is revealed to still be alive, just takes care of him.
Yep, just roll over with a knife. I do like this fight scene we have, because, it's just them, Will and Kira, just watching this scuffle on the floor between David and Tommy.
Yeah, in a way, Kira and Tommy are the saviors. They're the ones who get to do everything. Will is kind of the damsel in distress, for lack of a better term. Like, he just gets to suffer, but he doesn't actually help to save the day.
The gay guy and the black woman do.
100%. You know what? Truth. Who are the people who are picking up the slack? It's not the white dudes. It's the black women and the gays.
Get your shit together, Carol.
Jesus Christ, Will. Yeah, so all of our antagonists are dead, and Eden is dying. She admits that really what she wanted to do was be with her son, Ty. That's why she did the whole thing, because she misses him so much. And then these two people, Kira and Will, are so kind that they pick Eden up and carry her out into the backyard so that she can die outside, which she does. And then we get to this ending, and I feel like this is the piece where people say, oh, I kind of saw that coming. Oh, it thinks it's a twist, and it's really not. I think that this is just the perfect little denouement. The reveal that this is not an isolated event. It's happening all over the Hollywood Hills. I think it's a great final image, but to me, this is not the be-all, end-all. Like, this is not a twist ending that the movie's gotching over. It's just a great final frame.
I am in full agreement with you. It's just, it's such a haunting note to end it on, but I don't ever view this as a twist. I mean, it is kind of like a, oh shit, but it's not a gotcha, like you said.
Yeah. I wondered if one of the reasons that people didn't respond to it as strongly is because they thought it was set up for a sequel where we would get to see almost like The Purge or something, right? Oh, let's go and see somebody else's experience of this one terrible night. I'll confess I never took it that way. I just thought it was striking.
Yeah, no, I am in full agreement with you there. Because again, that's not the point of the film. The point is all this grief shit that we've been talking about for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even the final battle stuff, it's satisfying. It's cathartic to a certain point. It's expected, because I think without it, people would find the film either boring or disappointing in some regard. But for me, it's all the stuff before the violence happens. Like, right up until Gina is confirmed dead, I'm fascinated by all the grief stuff and the different ways that people are responding, and whether or not I can trust Will, and just how uncomfortable the movie makes me feel by proxy. Like, I just can't praise the technical construction of this film and how it makes me feel as a viewer enough. Like, that's why it's a 5-star movie.
I keep saying I agree with you, but I do agree with you. But because it's also like, even visually, and I didn't mention this, but like once Gina dies, so again, before that, the camera is constantly stable. It is very like it's it's there.
Very patient, right?
The second Gina dies, we are going handheld with this camera.
Yes, yeah, I love that transition, because it's fully what you would expect from a horror film when the shit hits the fan, when the action takes off. It's giving you that, but it also feels like such a wild transition from the kind of static, peaceful, patient shots that we've seen earlier. So it almost makes it more effective, because I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? Holy shit, we are in it now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes it work so well. And then again, it holds off on that reveal until the last possible moment, to where you as an audience member are thinking, well, am I being paranoid now? It's so good. And
so good.
I'm shifting a bit, because I was just thinking about this. So, okay, in the afterlife, I'm going to assume that these people believe that you just stay as you are.
Okay.
You don't age. So I get that this woman really wants to see her 5-year-old kid. They're going to be in the afterlife permanently and forever raising a 5-year-old kid. That sounds terrible.
But they loved this kid, right?
I guess.
He was so innocent. I mean, that's part of what the flashbacks sort of feel like to me, is that he was this innocent, perfect child, and the ability to recapture those innocent moments, right? Like, you will never lose him because he will never age and grow up and move away from you.
And I guess never have a temper tantrum in heaven.
I guess. Not any 5-year-old I've ever met. But
I know.
Sure.
Oh, I love kids. Yeah, no, I mean, this movie's perfect. I fucking love it. This is one of the best modern horror films that I have ever seen.
Unequivocally. Like, when I said it's the best film of 2015, I didn't say horror, people. It was the best film of the year. That year.
Yeah, it's just... And bear in mind, I saw this at the same festival I saw The Witch at.
Ooh, oh my god. I feel like we've talked about this somewhere before, but like 2015...
Really good.
Maybe it was when we were doing our underrated or underseen series, but like when people talk about, horror went through a kind of fallow period where there wasn't a lot of good stuff, I'm like, 2015 to me is when horror fucking takes off and we just get good year after good year after good year.
You know, at the risk of sounding gatekeeper, I think it's probably because 2015 didn't have a lot of good mainstream horror.
That's true. I mean...
Indie horror was where it's at.
Yeah, it just feels like we're getting a lot of risk-taking in those indie horror films. And maybe it's because they're outside of the studio system, so they don't have the same kind of pressure to be commercial, to cast certain types of people. But, I mean, you take a look at a film like this, I don't know why a studio couldn't have backed this and why it couldn't have gone wide. But, like... This, to me, is like A24 horror before A24 horror was a big thing, but without all of the negative stigma attached to it.
Well, because I could be misremembering, but I don't think I am. Do you know what else played at this Fantastic Fest?
What's that?
The Black Coat's Daughter.
Yes, okay.
Imagine me, my first film festival, getting to see The Witch, The Invitation, and The Black Coat's Daughter.
As I said, absolutely spoiled. You're never going to hit a high like that again.
Honestly, it probably was one of my best festivals.
Wow. Oof. What a way to start.
But yeah, okay. Well, final thoughts on The Invitation that we haven't already said ad nauseum in this film, in this recording.
Perfection. I love this movie. I was so happy to revisit it. And honestly, I was really happy that you felt the same way. I was a little wary that I was going to come into this and have to be the kind of cheerleader. Right. And then I saw that you had rated it 5 stars on Letterboxd as well. And I just thought, you know what? We're going to have a fucking gush fest. And I can't wait, because what a perfect way to celebrate 200 episodes.
Absolutely. But it's, hey, Joe, we have been talking to each other for 4+ years. And we haven't mentioned how much we love The Invitation to each other.
Well, the funniest thing is we've had a run of this in recent weeks / months where it's like, this is a movie we talked about covering in the very first year. And I think we held back on a bunch of them because we didn't want to like blow our load too early. Like we wanted to hold on to certain great movies. And it's funny because initially, listeners, glimpse behind the curtain, we were going to do Basic Instinct as our 200th episode, and then the timing ended up having to get rearranged, and we brought on the Queer Quadrant, and that was fantastic. Right. But then we ended up being so pleasantly surprised that it was like, oh, why don't we do The Invitation for 200? Because we both fucking love this movie.
Yeah, no, this movie rules. If you don't think so, I'm sorry. I'm not even angry.
You're just wrong.
I'm sorry.
You're so wrong.
But Karyn Kusama, if you're listening to this, you're amazing, and this movie rules, and it's fucking awesome.
100%, yes.
Okay, well, let's close out our 200th episode. So before we announce what we are covering next week, please, everyone, if you want to get in touch with us to talk about The Invitation, please reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. You can find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered, or go to our YouTube channel. You can watch interviews with various horror filmmakers, our monthly hangouts where we talk about a random horror topic each month. And if you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Facebook Horror Queers group, because that group is a-growing. If you have a moment, please... Actually, I'm sorry, no. If you have a moment, just do it. We are 200 episodes old, so please go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, leave us a rating and a review. We love the star ratings, but we love it when you write things about us, too, if they're nice.
It's true. Yeah, it's always really nice when people take that little extra moment to give us a review as well as just a rating.
It's our birthday. It's our 200th birthday.
It's kind of our birthday. It's a milestone.
Yes. And if you want even more Horror Queers content, please support the show another way by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. So, we're in October, so please go and you'll get episodes on the adaptation of My Best Friend's Exorcism, the 30 years later sequel, Hocus Pocus 2, the reboot we've all been waiting for in David Bruckner's Hellraiser, the sequel neither one of Joe or I were waiting for in Halloween Ends, and an audio commentary on Gore Verbinski's The Ring just in time for its 20th anniversary.
Yeah, another film I'm eager to revisit with you.
Oh, me too. I haven't seen it in a long time because I watched it so much as a teen that I'm like, I'm good. But I'm excited.
I am not. I'm good to see it again.
But Joe, what is episode 201?
Okay, well, ironically enough, we're celebrating another milestone because we're coming up on Halloween, Trace. And we always do a little bit of fun programming for the Halloween adjacent episode. So we're going to keep it campy and we're going to keep it sexy. We're going to talk about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Joe, I've never seen an Elvira anything. I've never seen this movie. I've never seen her show. All I know is that she is a horror hostess, and that is it.
I mean, I'll confess I don't know that much more about her than you, but I have seen this movie, and it is a goddamn fucking delight, and I really hope you feel the same way.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I got my Arrow Blu-ray in the mail yesterday, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to hopefully love it.
There we go. We will find out.
Does she have a catchphrase?
I think she has a couple, but basically she's a boob lady. So if you like boob jokes and sexual innuendo, you will like her.
Well, I was going to say it, but until next week and the boobs are out, we can cross out episode 200 and the invitation.
Indeed. And cross out Horror Queers.
Atlas Avenue, a long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kennett Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.
It was late in the afternoon when the professor and I took our way towards the east, whence I knew Jonathan was coming.
Jonathan Harker has asked me to note this, as he says he is hardly equal to the task, and he wants an exact record kept.
Dear Madam Mina, I have read your husband's so wonderful diary. Strange and terrible as it is true. I will pledge my life on it.
God preserve my sanity, for to this I am reduced. Safety and the assurance of safety are things of the past.
I am in hopes that I shall see more of you at Castle Dracula.
Listen to Regarding Dracula wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm.